As of a day ago of this video coming out, or maybe 6 days ago, I honestly don't know when this is going to go up, the world finally got the chance to play Hollow Knight Silksong, which is a game that's been in the works for over 6 years, and apparently the reason why it took so long is because the developers were in quote-unquote development heaven. Because of this and the fact that the game that came out before it, Hollow Knight, was a massive success and one of the best Metroidvanias in the genre, so many people were excited for this game, including me, and I was originally going to just take a break to enjoy this game. I wasn't going to make any videos on it, I wasn't even going to make my normal content, hell, I wasn't even going to stream it like I usually do with games in my Discord, and go check that out, that's kinda hype. So at this point, you're probably assuming that something really crazy happened that prompted me to make this video. Especially since I'm making it so last minute compared to my other videos. And something did happen. Most of us were expecting Hollow Knight Silksong's release to go off without a hitch, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of us were expecting it to be one of the biggest gaming events, almost on par with the release of Halo 2, Halo 3, and all sorts of other games that had monumental amounts of hype behind them. But because of a couple of factors, this is probably one of the most insane video game releases that I have ever experienced, and I am loving the hell out of it. Even though many factors of this are borderline insane and others are extremely chaotic, I still believe that I should say something about what's been going on so far. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to talk about the events of September 4th and talk about what led up to it, and its potential aftermath if I do get some more information about it. So with all that said and done, let's get going. Alright, before we can actually get into the events leading up to Hollow Knight Silksong's release, we actually need to discuss the period of time where the future of Hollow Knight Silksong was still rather uncertain, and because of that, we need to talk about its community. Now, I'm going to be extremely brief here since if I actually started going into it, it would take up almost all of the video. But to sum it up, the entirety of the Silksong fanbase devolved into r/Arkham over a period of 6 years, and it mostly has to do with Team Cherry themselves. Now, I'm not saying that the people behind Silksong did anything wrong here, it's just their development process, and a part of this development process is them going completely silent for extremely long stretches of time. Couple that with the fact that Hollow Knight Silksong was one of the most anticipated games of the decade due to the absolute success of Hollow Knight and its subsequent DLC, and that it was one of the most wishlisted Steam games on Steam to the point that it became the most wishlisted. The weight of time and silence slowly began to break people, and by people, I mean anyone who was remotely a fan of Hollow Knight. Patience turned to impatience, impatience turned into memes, memes turned into desperation, and desperation became insanity. There are so many different examples I could use for this one point alone. The Left Cake Incident, Believers and Non-Believers, Skongers, Daily Silksong News, God Rest Aurora's Soul, which, side tangent, inspired other channels of that nature in other communities, and desperate fans scouring for every line of code, screenshot, or seconds of animation they can find. And anytime we got a trailer, the fandom would collectively lose their marbles. Silksong had attained a certain status that most other games would never see in their lifetime, and because of that, it was absolute pandemonium, where we were united by hope and divided by cope. But when the Xbox showcase occurred on August 20th, we would figure out that Silksong would be released before Xbox's ROG handheld, which meant we had a narrow window of time when Silksong would come out, which was something that we didn't really have in the past before. But due to a previous instance where Xbox said in the previous showcase with Silksong in it that every game would come out by the end of the year in 2022, only for Silksong to not come out, a lot of people were still kind of doubtful. And then Team Cherry themselves would upload a trailer to their YouTube page, and when we all watched it, it was glorious. This trailer not only gave us new footage of Silksong, because yes, we were that desperate for news, but it also gave us a release date, that date being September 4th, 2025. Now, to understand how ludicrous this was, let's compare it to something that I'm pretty sure is never going to happen. Now, let's say that Steam just uploaded a video to their YouTube channel as a premiere regarding Half-Life 3, and then after getting this trailer and probably hyping the crap out of all of their fans, at the end of the trailer they're like, oh yeah, this game is coming out in 2 weeks. This one trailer sent shockwaves through the gaming community, not just for gamers but for other companies in the industry as well. A lot of developers were scrambling to change release dates of their games if it was anywhere near Silksong, to the point that developers were outright saying that yeah, we're delaying our games because Silksong is coming out. People were rolling out the red carpet for them, and then after the trailer, a couple days later no less, we would get some information that was actually pretty shocking at the time. Team Cherry didn't let reviewers get in early or announce pre-orders, and the reason why this happened is because they wanted their backers to get their hands on the game first. But this will be really important much later. But then a handful of days before Hollow Knight Silksong was set to even release, we would get information that would hype everyone up. Hollow Knight Silksong was going to cost $20. Now, at this point, everyone was expecting Silksong to be the industry standard or at least 40 bucks, not 20. So the fact that it was made everyone excited. We could all afford Silksong. So with all of that build up, let's get into the release in the absolute insanity that ensued. Now, before we actually talk about the aftermath or just talk about what happened on the 4th, we're actually going to pivot to my perspective of this day, because I was actually in the thick of it when everything was going down. Now, I woke up really early at 5 o'clock because, like many people, I actually tried to figure out what time zone Silksong was releasing for me, and I originally thought it was going to be at 7 o'clock, but it ended up being 8. But I didn't really mind because, once again, this is Silksong we're talking about. I was hyped, everybody in the Discord was hyped, and we were all excitedly counting down Silksong's release. And then 8 o'clock struck. But before that, I would actually get glimpses of the incoming apocalypse, the fact that the Microsoft Store was much laggier than it usually is, but I didn't really notice or mind at the time because I was just way too excited to get Silksong. Fast forward to 8 o'clock, however, and the Microsoft Store didn't work. Whenever I looked up Silksong, I wasn't getting any results, and this just wasn't for Silksong. I wasn't getting anything at all in the store. Things were so bad on the Microsoft Store that games that were already up on the store had question marks over them. Because of this, I would try to go through Game Pass, and in response, I would get an error message. And that's when it hit me. It crashed. I would convene with a ton of people in Discord because holy crap, this was crazy, and I would learn that Xbox wasn't the only place having problems. Basically, almost every single platform, Steam, PlayStation, Nintendo, and the aforementioned Xbox, were absolutely falling apart at the seams. Nobody could get to the store, and nobody could play Silksong. But luckily for me, I was actually able to find a workaround before anybody else. Now, you see, because I'm a YouTuber and I usually gather footage from an Xbox, I have the Xbox app, and since that wasn't having any problems, at least to my knowledge, I was actually able to get around the Microsoft Store and download it to my console from the app. Now, while all of this was happening, I was in VC and all of us were losing our minds, since I was the only one in there who could play Silksong and stream it. And after it was finally downloaded, it wouldn't let me play the game. What my console told me is that apparently I did not own Hollow Knight Silksong, even though it let me download it. I was really stumped for a little bit until I remembered the good old Xbox app again, and I just launched it from there. And boom, I was able to get in. Now at this point, I know that a lot of you are probably wondering, why am I even making this video? Why wasn't I enjoying Silksong since I already had it? And the reason why is because I want to document and talk about this. Once again, this was absolutely wild, and I have never, and I mean never, in my life experienced a point in time where a console store stopped working because too many people were trying to buy one product. Now, unlike most games, I'm pretty sure that Hollow Knight Silksong is exclusively a digital game. I'm not sure if there are any hard copies, and if there are, or were, it would just be much easier for the average guy to buy a digital version on console or wherever they play their games from instead of going to a store and getting a physical version. Now, with high-profile games like this, it is almost a necessity to make them pre-orderable because of the influx of people who want to play that upcoming game ASAP. But since nobody had the option to buy it before Silksong released, or download it early since many people, including me, have Game Pass, that just meant that if we all wanted to play it, we had to wait until 8 o'clock on the 4th to buy it. Since so many people were buying and downloading Silksong at the same time, or hell, probably because so many people were at the Microsoft Store, PlayStation Store, Nintendo Store, and Steam page for Silksong in the first place, none of these services could really handle it, and they just began to crumble apart. Microsoft Store resembled a brick more than the console itself, the Nintendo eShop crashed because there was so much traffic on it, and Silksong apparently wasn't accessible on the PS5 or PS4 because the network was having that much of a seizure. But the one gaming store that got it the worst was definitely the Steam store, since they went down for like 15 minutes. And I'm not talking about just the Steam page for Silksong. No, Steam itself went down, and even when it was working, people were still getting errors, and some people were even getting Silksong removed from their carts as they were buying the game. Do you have any idea how crazy of a statement that is? Taking down one store is already a feat in and of itself, but all four, including Steam, one of the biggest video game stores in the world, and doesn't go down often, couldn't handle Silksong. Not because it was broken, but because everybody wanted it. Other than that, Silksong was apparently so good that not even pirates wanted to pirate it. Now, I know this sounds a little crazy, but let me explain. Now, when Silksong released, it apparently didn't have the most basic of anti-piracy software, so pirates just got their hands on it, very easily no less, like a few minutes after launch. But even though they had a free copy, Silksong was just so good that it spurred pirating forums into discussions about not pirating a game. Once again, do you know how absolutely crazy that is? Silksong had so much goodwill that pirates were willing to buy Silksong. But that just raises a very big question. Was it all worth it? Yes. Yes, it was. Hollow Knight Silksong, even though I've only played like 4 hours as writing and 20 as of recording, is one of the best experiences I have had with a video game in a long time. Yeah, it could get very frustrating at times, but that's a video for another day. If you have the opportunity, if you have Game Pass, or if you just have the money, go get Silksong. It is one of those games that you shouldn't sleep on at all, and I need to emphasize that. But with all that said and done, I think it's about time that I thank you all for watching. Like always, hit the subscribe button if you enjoy content like this, share this around so it grows the channel, leave some comments down below to make the algorithm happy, check out Return to Skylands, its Discord, and a ton of other stuff down in the description below, along with my usual content, and I will see you all in the next one.